Hello and welcome to the Boostara podcast. I am your host, James. On the Boostara podcast, we meet leaders in business and education, uncover truths and insights from their amazing experiences. If you want to learn more about how we can help you leverage AI for your own business, please type the word growth into the comments below and I will be sure to reach out to you. Today, we are very fortunately joined by the amazing Claudia Fernandes, owner of Villa dos Idiomas, correct?
Yes, correct.
Language school out in Brazil. Yeah, hello, Claudia. Where are you calling us from?
Hi, I'm from São Paulo, and I'm very pleased to be here, part of your podcast, James. It's such a pleasure for me, and I hope we can share some views on education, especially on the language teaching scenario.
Yeah, amazing, and really a pleasure to have you on here. It is quite amazing. You know, I'm based in the UK. You're based in South America, but our paths crossed in Shanghai in China very briefly. So yeah, I mean, for those that do not know, who you are or what you do, yeah, could you please just introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about your journey to where you are today.
Okay, so I am Claudia Fernandes. I'm a passionate educator. Since I was a kid, I've always known I would like to work with education because I used to teach my invisible students at the age of 6, 7, 8. And then I started learning English at the age of 12, I guess, and in a language school. And then when I was about to choose my career, I was like, I want to be an actress. But my mom would say, no, no way. You won't be an actress. And so, but I like being an actress. And then I also like cooking. So
Mm.
maybe I will be a chef on TV. And my mom, no, no, no. And I remember at the age of 12, I went to culinary school and I was the youngest. And I learned
Mm.
how to make, sweets and cakes. And at that time, I started my own business. So I would sell this cookies and cakes at school. But then I reached 17 and I had to choose a major. And I said, well, I speak English. I can't be an actress. I can't be a chef. My parents didn't agree with me and didn't give me the support. And I said, okay, well, maybe I'll go to the language teaching field because I already speak English. So that's how I chose my basically. But then I'm just telling you all this because I started my business at the age of 21 with my sister.
Mhm.
And we started with a franchise school. So I was like with another brand, and it was nice because at that time we chose a school, a franchise program that would give us a lot of freedom in terms of methodology. So I could have cooking classes, I could have drama lessons
Mm.
throughout the course. But then 12 years later, we found a little bit like that school was not, actually, we were sold to a big group. And
Right.
then things changed a little bit. And although we were very grateful for the 12 years we spent together, we decided to run our own brand. So after 12 years, we switched and we created Villa dos Idiomas with even more personalized lessons and most of all, like even more putting our heart on it. But not only heart, it was not, I'm not saying that it is a heart-driven school, but very much connected to research on language teaching and a lot of studies and traveling abroad, visiting innovative schools all around the globe. So that was how it all started.
Wow, wow, wow. No, thank you for that. Yeah, yeah. And I just picking up on what you said about starting a business, jumping into that at 21. Do you think that was sort of defining for you? Was that always going to be the kind of path for you? Do you think that was important for you to do to step into business at that age? Because I know people often argue the age when to start a business. You should have a mentor or learn in a particular field for so long, and then other people say, well, no, any time is a good time.
Well, I think, well, actually, I was brought up in a family. My parents, they have always been merchants, so they had a small business in our neighborhood, but it was a small but successful business. So I grew up in this atmosphere, so always working with them, always helping them, and having some duties on their business. Me and my sister. My sister is actually 6 years older than me. She's also graduated in law school. So the time we opened the business, she was already a lawyer, and she had already worked with my father for a long time. So I think I started teaching at the age of 17,
Wow.
and in all this scenario, in this business thing, I think actually we were kind of ready, because ready we never, we're never think we are, right? But
Yeah.
I think everything were, like a river. We were
Yeah.
going to this point. Uh, I think my mentor what were like my mentors were my parents, so at that
Mm,
time.
mm,
And then a lot of also I have to mention, like, my parents are Portuguese. They are Portuguese immigrants in Brazil, and as immigrants, well, they had to work a lot. So I also grew up in this atmosphere of a lot of hard work, and that was what we did. When we opened the school, I had some experience in teaching. I had worked in language schools before, at the end already, at the age of 21. And my sister, who also, she takes care of the financial of the school. She had also some experience with my parents' business. We just put this together, and again, a lot of work, like working from 8 to 10, 8 a.m. in the morning to 10 p.m. That was the time the school used to close.
mm.
And also with like studying a lot. So I never stopped studying, always enrolling in post-graduation courses, TESOL, ITEFLs, and all these big conferences. And then later, traveling with a group of educators, not from language schools, but from regular schools, who
Mm.
were interested in knowing and getting to know the best practices around the world. So I was not ready, but as I answering your question, like, I think we're never
Yeah.
ready, but I think
Yeah.
we have to, I think, but I don't think we have to wait for the perfect timing. I
Mm.
just, the perfect timing is now,
Yeah. Yeah.
and you just have to start from somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's yeah, you remind me of a very popular saying, when promoting someone, putting someone into a new position, or even starting something new yourself. Yeah, are you ready? No, you're never ready. You become ready by, by learning as you do. And exactly what you were saying there. I mean, constant development, constantly learning. You never sit still. You're always moving. You're always pushing yourself further and further. And I think that's the whole sort of meaning behind becoming successful as a business person is you have to employ that in your own work ethic. Otherwise, you stay still for too long and you die, or the business dies, basically, right? Interesting, maybe sort of sidetrack to that, because obviously you've taken a business through, I would say, a number of sort of crises when we think of COVID, and I'm not quite sure how far back you go in terms of the financial crisis back like 2009, that period. Yeah, how was that? How do you navigate those difficult periods in time that are out of your control?
Well, I can say that COVID was the worst point, the worst crisis that we've faced so far. Well, so at that time, we were on the market for 20 years at that time. And then after 20 years, actually, we completed like in June, and we started our second branch in September of 2019. So
Mm.
we just opened a new school in a new neighborhood of São Paulo, and and then COVID just hit us in 2020,
Mm.
and so we had to close the schools, and we didn't know what to do, like the online process of teaching and Zoom and everything, and people were not, used to that. Some of our students didn't have enough devices in their homes so that they could all of them use for online classes, and also because we are considered like after school program, so it's not essential programs,
Right.
it's not essential schools. So it was so hard. I remember like we kind of melted. We lost lots of students, not because of quality of our course, but because of the crisis itself.
Mm.
Like people were like, okay, I'm losing jobs. They also mentally, like speaking, it was very hard for everyone, like because
Yeah.
they were not only losing jobs, but losing people from their families,
Yeah.
and because they were all hit by the fear of not having the dear ones around them. And the thing is also, so apart from losing money, losing students, we also lost our coordinator.
Mm.
She had been working for us for 15 years at the age of 32. And
Mm.
like in 2 weeks, we lost her for COVID. So emotionally, it was so hard. And I think, how did we overcome that, right? Maybe that would be the next question. I think we overcame because uh, our business has a purpose.
Mm.
So I think even if we don't know how to express this in words, we feel it every day. We wake up in the morning, and I remember myself when the schools started opening and we were receiving students. I remember myself entering the teacher's room, looking at all the place, and the drawers we have with materials and everything, and asking myself, does it still matter to me?
Mm.
From anything, not only money, but looking at the place and say, does it make any sense to me? And the answer has always been a yes. So yes, admitting that we are going through a difficult time. Yes, it does make sense. So not only in terms of numbers, because
Mm.
and I'm saying that numbers are not important, okay?
Yeah.
They're absolutely important for any business.
Mm.
Because I say, it's not an NGO, it is a business. Like
Mm.
we need money, we need to invest, but I think we just survived because it still makes sense for us what we do, and we know that in any business, even going back to my parents' business, I remember when they went through some crisis, and we just have to keep moving, keep
Mm,
going forward. And because it's like planting, you know, we
mm,
are planting now and we are watering now, and somewhere, somehow, in some time, it will come up the flowers, and we will just get the result of all this planting. So,
mm.
but yes, COVID, but I also want to remember that it's back there, right?
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
don't leave it in the past.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's very, very beautifully, poignantly said there, Claudia, I think. And I think that's a worthy lesson for everyone. Because I mean, what I take from that is when it's hard, when it's really hard, you stop and you think, why am I doing this, right? What's the true purpose of me doing this business? I think a lot of people will say for business, it's very important to keep your emotions and the logic kind of like separate of business, but inevitably it does come together. If especially if you're passionate about what you do, and that's anyone listening can feel that from you as as an educator, you're passionate, right? You have that energy, you have that charisma, right? And I suppose that's kind of nicely leads on really with students and the students that you have for language learning. I mean, is language learning and I as a Brit, as someone who speaks English, because we are lazy, everyone else speaks English. I do speak Chinese myself. I speak two languages, so I'm not a complete just only one language, only speak English. But is language learning important now, in 2025? Especially, and we'll get onto it in a little bit with AI and the use of technology, especially with all of the tech that's out there. Do we really need to learn a language?
Yeah, absolutely. I think learning, well, especially English, I'm not, let's just set up a little bit our scenario here in South America, in Brazil.
Hmm.
According to the British Council, only 5% of people in Brazil speak English fluently. So, which means that we still have 95% of other, of potential people to teach them a language like English, because of course English is the international language, and I say that it is a passport to the world. And we have expanded a little bit our school, including summer programs. We take students, like this year we took them to Dubai, last year we took them to Switzerland, and so that they can not only to learn English or improve their English, but to see themselves in the world. Because, in Brazil, not everybody studies English in language schools or in bilingual schools or even in international schools. So, unfortunately, we still have in the market, I'd say that the regular schools, they discovered that, well, English is important, so they started giving like 5 lessons a week instead of only 1 or 2, but still teaching English for 30 students, or just for you to have an idea, like a teacher who takes English language programs or major in the university gets a bachelor in language teaching, but this teacher is not fluent in the language he or she is teaching. So they are going, most schools, they go to regular schools to teach about the language, but not to teach through the language, and to teach English as a means of communication. So this is something that we face in Brazil. Not in language schools. In language schools, they do not need to have a bachelor in language teaching.
Yeah.
Like in my school, we provide teachers development so that we work on the development of teaching skills and everything, but they must be fluent in the language that they teach. So the thing is, so just to say that I do think language teaching is very, very important, and we still have some field. And I think Brazil is still waking up for the importance of bilingual programs, bilingual schools. Although we don't have any rule or law that says, okay, for you to be a bilingual school, a regular school, you need to have this, that, and that. Nowadays, any school can just put in front of the school, we are bilingual, and we don't have any policy for that. So we here in Brazil, it's been like 5 years. We've been facing the growing of bilingual market, but this bilingual market with no policy. You know what I mean? So any school can just put bilingual. This more for marketing than for delivery of bilingual education. So therefore, I think in my business, we are still surviving, not as a traditional language school. I myself don't believe we still have space for traditional language schools. What I mean for traditional is like sitting and opening a book, repeating and filling up the book. This kind of schools, I really don't think they don't have space in the market. So that's why, as a language school, Villa dos Idiomas is a very different language school. We have our own methodology based on diversity of language activities, a lot of putting the student in the center of this learning process, taking speaking practice and a lot. We do have a lot of speaking practice, peer practice, speaking practice. And also, we also have different learning spaces. So we say that all the spaces in the school are spaces for learning, not only the language classroom, but even the language classroom. Like I'm from here, a language classroom, from a language classroom in our school, and in this school, in this classroom, we have different learning spaces. Like we have the couch, but we also have, I can show you, but you can see online, right? But I also have different seats so that students can sit where they want to sit. We even have a podcast studios for students to do the language practice in a podcast studios. We have a chroma key studios. We have we can have classes in the garden, do some grounding with them. So I think it has to go beyond the book itself. The book, it's important, but it's not the most important thing. The most important thing is our students and what we want to provide them, taking into account the 21st century skills and everything.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. You made me excited when I see spaces like that. It's and it's inviting to go to, right? When you feel you're somewhere special, that's straight away got engagement. And when you've got engagement, that's half of the battle in helping students to realize their dreams, right?
The learning spacing, guess what? It's a gourmet kitchen. So
even better, I'm booking my tickets now.
So we have gourmet kitchen, and the students dress up as a professional chefs while they cook. So you see, that's why I mentioned this in the beginning, because I think the school has a lot, and our business has a lot of us on it. So I think we have to kind of hear our intuition and our heart, and also with this constant development and looking what is happening in the world, especially in education, and bringing this to your business, whatever your business is.
Yes, amazing. I mean, what would you say are the major misconceptions that parents have when they first visit a school such as yourself, and they want to enroll their child? We want to put them on the English language program. You start talking to them, they give their expectations. What are those sort of misunderstandings, misconceptions that you most commonly hear?
Okay, so first of all, especially in a school like our school here, we have different learning spaces, and when they come to visit, then they get very interested. And so the first misconception is that they're always going to come and they're always going to be interested. No, they're not, because we have good days, bad days. Sometimes kids are going through tests in their regular schools and then they come very tired, or they're just going through, life, regular life. They have problems at home. So they're not always going to be engaged 100% all the time. So
Mm,
because this is life,
yeah.
we are not 100% positive and engaged in something, even if it's very appealing, very, nice, and with different activities and everything. So this is the first thing. Second, that language learning takes time. So it's not because they're always being exposed that, and another thing that goes with this taking time of learning a language is that the question is, when do they finish their course? Okay, yes, they do finish their course, but they never finish learning English.
Yeah.
So, and sometimes we come up with releasing new courses just for them to keep up, having a place in which a safe place in which they can come and they can communicate and they can practice the language learning before going to the market, for example, or before going to university, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Because they finish like a trail that we designed for them, but they never finish learning. So
Mm,
this misconception of finishing the course,
mm,
we never finish. There's
yeah.
always things to learn.
Yeah.
And let's say another thing is that about motivation, I'd say, like, oh, my child or my teenager is not motivated. He doesn't want to come. And
Mm,
as a mom and as an educator, there are some things that we can give them options, but there are other things. It's not an option.
yeah.
It has to be. And I just want to mention an example that we had here at school last week. Like a mom of an 8-year-old, she said, well, he doesn't want to come to the course. He's not motivated. And then we always try to listen, and of course we do respect parents and family decision. But it was like it was an 8-year-old. He didn't want to come because he was not motivated, and also because the time of their course was the time that parents allowed every day the kid to have a screen time. So,
Right.
of
Mm,
course, like I just think that an 8-year-old is not mature enough to decide, or to decide on what is best for him. Of course, he's going to decide on having free screen time, you
yeah.
know, instead of coming to English class, for example. So I just think nowadays we are facing a misconception of parenting, unfortunately. It's like I have to please my child all the time. My child cannot be frustrated at any time. Okay, if there is suffering, it's not good.
Mm,
And I just think this is not like that. I think we need to have a balance. Of course, we need to listen to our child, and I think our child has to feel that he's been listened, but not. There are certain things that our parents have to decide, not
Yeah.
kids. And I'm sorry, James, but I have to say that when I started studying English at the age of 13, which is nowadays very old to start studying English,
Yeah. Yeah.
there was a time that I didn't want to go to school.
Mm,
And just because it was 8 o'clock in the morning and I wanted to have more time sleeping. And my
mm,
parents were not at school. I'm sorry, were not at home. They left to work, and I didn't go to school. I stayed there. And I remember my father received a call from the school. Why she has 2 absences in a row. And my father came to me and he was very strict. And I was like, oh my God. And then he said, if you don't want to study, it's okay. I'm not going to continue paying. And because
mm,
of fear, but not because of fear, but I'd say because I had this figure of my dad as someone I respected, I
yeah.
said, no, I'm going to continue. And here I am, but
Mm,
I didn't like studying English. I didn't like studying English. I was not the kind of student say, Mom, please, I love languages and I want to learn a language. No, I went, it was my parents' choice. It was
yeah.
not my choice. So
Mm,
I think this is something that we face now in Brazil and maybe in education, that kids they have to be pleased all the time and they cannot be frustrated anytime. So I just think these are some of the challenges we face here.
I mean that's very, very interesting. I mean, and I don't disagree with you, but I'm wondering from the perspective as a business owner, because we said about sort of numbers and other ways that we look at a business. In that way, do you, when running the business and looking at the way that you're moving forward, is it determined by the parents, what the parents want, what the parents think? Is it determined by the students? Or is it determined by, like you said, traveling around and seeing what are the trends, what are other educators saying or doing, or is it a mixture of everything? Is it like a balancing act?
Yeah, I think we have to hear parents, but I also think we have to study and trust in science. By the way, I ended up in China because I became a positive discipline educator, because I was in the ESL field, English language teaching, and then I would go to a TESOL conference, to an IELTS conference, IETFL conference, and then I would come with a storytelling, but I couldn't do the storytelling because kids were rolling, they were pushing, and they were
Yeah,
not interested at all. So we ended up having to study about the discipline, the way of having them getting their attention, getting their sense of belong into our lesson. So what we started at that time, so I started studying about positive discipline, and what we did was we opened like a school for parents. We didn't call it a school for parents, but we invited them for a monthly meeting in which we started studying positive discipline together, so that parents could understand what was behind the English or the French or the Spanish that we would teach, so that we could have parents understanding, and also studying about parenting, because we
mm,
never, when we become a parent, we don't take any course for that. I
mm,
remember I took a course for how to give a bath to my baby, and I thought in
Yeah.
the hospital, and I thought it was very, very important, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
the
Yeah.
thing I needed to know as a mom.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's just the basic survival skills, but it's not that. It's when they start walking and talking and misbehaving that we have to, oh my God. And what we do is we get our parents' education, what we have from our parents as a background, but there's more than that. So I'm not saying we have to forget about everything we got from our parents, but I'm just saying that we have to study for a parent. And as a business owner, I just think we have to kind of link all this, the science behind the language teaching, the science behind the parenting, so
Yeah.
that we don't come and talk to parents and say, this is what I think. It's my point of view. It's not my point of view, but it's what is being said
Yeah.
and studying around the world. I just think we need, I do believe that in the business, we have to show parents that we are constantly studying and we are constantly improving ourselves. And maybe some parents are not going to hear you,
Yeah.
but which is okay. I mean, you know, they don't have to, but we do not have to stop this flow. We do not have to stop this you know, this movement of talking, having parents meetings and talking, and because other parents, although some won't hear you, others are very interested. And I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
on those parents, because those are the ones who are going to talk about your business, are going to refer to other people, and then you are designing a different identity for your business, you know. So that's what I think.
Amazing, amazing. Well, I can't not mention the word AI. I've got to say it at some point. So, I think AI, and especially in language acquisition, language learning, is a very interesting sort of crossover. And I'm wondering, you know, how are you seeing the use of AI, the use of this kind of level of tech impacting language centers, impacting you know, your industry specifically? And you know, what are your opinions? Are you for, against? Do you put caution? Do you think, yeah, we should find ways to adopt? What's your opinions?
I'm a very big fan of AI, and I think we're still, you know, crawling. AI is something very, especially in education, you know, because educational field is the last, you know, is the most resistant for changing and for innovation. That's what I see. But I think, first of all, for teachers, it's a very big assistant for teachers for designing much more personalized lessons. And, you know, but it's not like an and like, okay, AI is going to do everything for me. No, I think AI has become here for us, for teachers in our school, a very, you know, a very big butt and a buddy. And we talk to AI. No, but I don't think. And what I not like about it, like they say, oh, you're absolutely right. Yes, I never thought about that. So we are discussing our lesson plans with AI. We are creating things in four hands, let's say. So I think, and we are having a big help in like correcting essays, for example, these mechanical things that would take a very heavy load for teachers. I think this in this term, I think it's been very helpful. Also for language acquisition, we're still understanding where we are, where this AI is, which place AI is standing in taking place for the language acquisition. But Yes, absolutely. But I think, again, I think it's an add-on, an important, very important add-on. I don't think it's going to substitute teachers. It will, of course, substitute those teachers who come to the classroom and get, okay, let's open the book to page 20 and let's do exercise A, B, and C. Yes, of course. These teachers are going, they are going to be made redundant, right? They're not going to be important, but those teachers who are paying attention to the eyes of their students, to the reactions, those teachers who say, well, I noticed my student was different today. He was quiet and he's never that way. I don't think this kind of teacher will be substituted. And I don't think we have to look at AI as something threatening, but something that will bring support to the educational field. That's what I see. I'm a very big fan of it. Although I don't know if I'm an expert. I'm not an expert. I still have to go deep and look for it. But I already, maybe even not having an expert here in my school on AI, I like noticing the movement that we have with our teachers in preparation, designing lessons, and discussing, chatting with the AI. So I like this movement, and that's where we.
Yeah, no, and I completely agree with you on replacing the teacher, like what you're saying there, like the nurturing aspect of a teacher in, the students had a bad day, that there's something off. Teacher can investigate that, can help the student, and as well the life journey of a student from, say, they're entering at 3 years old, coming out at 12. If they've stayed that long, it's probably because of a connection that they've built with teachers, a place of study such as yours, right? And that can't be replaced really with AI. Is a very much a connection based thing, and you just reminded me of myself as a language teacher in China, very randomly, because I went to this place 2 weeks ago on our way back home from Scotland, and listeners from sort of my part of the world, the Yorkshire area in the UK, will know there's a place called Mother Shipton's Cave. This place is known for an old woman who was gave prophecies. She predicted things to happen in the future. And very interestingly, in my own lessons, I'm looking for inspiration. I think we're studying, it might be future I will, or to do with predicting the future. So light bulb from my own childhood going to this place. I brought out the old poem from this lady, this old woman, showed them the place, and it's that kind of thing, that cultural aspect, but that level of teaching or understanding, or just connecting with the students and bringing something from your cultural identity, that can't be replaced with AI. AI doesn't have a cultural identity, right? And when you're trying to teach language, culture comes into it a lot. So yeah. But I think definitely the administrative duties, the lesson planning, which can take a long time. That's where, or the prep, the worksheets, these kinds of things. That's where AI can really help liberate teachers, I think, so that they can go into the classroom feeling that bit happier, with a bit more energy.
Can have more time with their families or doing what they like doing, and not like because I remember like 26 years ago, like correcting the whole Sunday, correcting assignments from students, and this is crazy. So I think yes, thanks, AI can do that for us. So.
Brilliant. Yeah. Well, fingers crossed. I mean, for me as a teacher anywhere, that's what I want. So that's what I want, something to take all of that paperwork away, right? For Claudia, for yourself, for the next kind of 5, 10 years? Where do you see yourself? Where do you see your school kind of going in the future? What's the plans next?
I think I see my school expanding, maybe opening new branches in São Paulo or in Brazil, because Brazil is a huge country
Yeah.
and we still have a place to expand. Um, Actually, when we opened our second branch, it was, to have this feeling of open up a business uh, after a long time, knowing so much more than we used to when we opened our first school. So I think we are much more grounded and much more mature and even professionally speaking, much more a professional school. So, and I think I see our school expanding. And also not only as a school, but with other programs, like we have other branches with international camps, also with teachers development courses. I also work with this. In 2 weeks, I'm going to a school in a different state of Brazil to talk about the bilingual ways and bilingual perceptions and ways of teaching. So I see us expanding. And I'm very happy to feel it and to see this happening. I really see opportunities of growing. As I said, I don't see we have a market for people who are not professional, not when I say people who are not professional, I see people who are not constant developing and studying, and also who are people who are not delivering what they sell. So, and I'm very happy to say that by the end of our course, our students are fluent, and not only fluent, but they are different citizens. They are really caring about the planet we are in. So I think there is field for innovation, but there's not, I don't see field in language teaching if you are on the very traditional standards. So that's what I see for the future. And yes, bringing AI, going together with AI, adapting, because I say Villa dos Idiomas is not in a box, definitely not in a box. We are always changing. And I think this is our key. Change is our key. And I think the world, there's no more room for not change and say, okay, it's going to be the same. It's never the same. What we do now in the second week is different, and the second semester is different. So I see us changing, but growing, expanding, and changing as I see the world.
Yeah, and yeah, I think exactly that. Having that perspective, I absolutely no doubt that you will just go from one step to the next step to the next step, improving and building on your success. Absolutely. I mean, Claudia, if anyone wants to reach out to you directly, what's the best way to contact you?
Well, you can find me on LinkedIn, Claudia Fernandes with S, Fernandez with S. Also, I have my personal Instagram, which is at by Claudia Fernandes, and also at Villa dos Idiomas. Villa, I think you're going to put here somewhere with L. And you can contact me. I'll be very happy to talk to people who are interested in this business of language teaching, language learning, teaching development, so in education in general.
Yeah, amazing. Absolutely. I'll put those details down below. But it's been absolutely fantastic having you on, Claudia. Yeah, thank you very much for coming on today.
Thank you, James. It was a pleasure.
Brilliant. And thank you everyone for listening.